Excited enough. Now, keep a smile in your voice. Remember, we're having fun. Forget about the people out there, except if you're talking to them. And just, you've done this before. She has it. Country. You look gorgeous. And look at we're like, you know, I just like what I do. I love your shirt. We're coordinated. You know what? You should take this off so that they can see it in the pictures better.
Yeah, that'll be better for pictures.
Not that I'm a stage mom.
Yes, you are. Admit it.
Oh, here's my PR card too.
The gift of education. ThanksUSA.org. Scholarships for America's
I even had a friend who is he sold time for all the radio stations. Cincinnati Magazine helped me.
We test them for you.
I have had so many.
Need a new one? No problem.
Good.
Because only Advanced Auto Parts carries Autograph Gold batteries. Autograph Gold is designed with power frame technology, engineered to give you longer battery life.
Give Nosey one? Why don't you guys give me
those
pictures?
your new battery for you free. Only at Advanced
Oh,
Auto Parts.
and for luck, I brought a picture of Nipper. He lived to be 15 and a half. And we had...
You and your family are connected by routine, and you stick to it. But what if a disaster strikes without warning?
See, I brought... See, and there's
I
our boy
see.
with us.
No, wait a minute. Hold it up there, hon, so I can zoom in. Oh, yes. There's our boy. And then now, down here.
Nosey. We got cookies. Her name is Nosey and Lucilla Pearl.
WDJO, Cincinnati.
Okay, I got weather, and we are after weather.
Should I just put this on?
Yes. You don't have to. I just have to always wear mine. I just always have to wear mine because I'm mixing in music at the beginning.
How do I look?
You look wonderful, honey.
Thank you.
Okay. Heads up in the
You guys have something to write
studio.
on just in case?
The following is a paid program. Its views and opinions are not necessarily those of this station or its management.
Hello, pet lovers. It's time for Marsie's Menagerie on 1480 WDJO. For the next hour, your host, pet care expert Marsie Hall Newbold, and her trusty basset hound Nosey will share the latest information to help you give your furry, feathery, and finny friends the happiest and healthiest lives possible. You're invited to call to ask questions of Marsie's guests. The number is 513-749-1480. Now, here's Marsie.
Hello, pet parents. I'm your host, Marsie Hall Newbold, and welcome to the first ever, the inaugural Marsie's Menagerie on 1480 WDJO. This week's topic is how to keep your pets from ruining your sex life. And you know that they can. We've all heard the stories. A couple meets and hits it off, but one's a pet lover and the other one isn't. Do you let your pet sleep on the bed with you? Well, I'll tell you, between you and me. Our dog Nosey, who is my co-host here, our basset hound, she sleeps between my husband and I every night. We have a queen-sized bed, okay, because our bedroom isn't large enough for a king. She sleeps in between us with her head on the pillow, okay, under the covers, like a human. And so when my husband says to me, "Not tonight, sweetie, I have a headache," listen, he isn't talking about, you know what. He's talking about whether he wants Nosey to sleep on the bed, because he says, I get a better night's sleep when she's not here. And so, anyway, that's the story. So anyway, so have you ever been hit, okay, here's a question. Have you ever been hit with an ultimatum from someone that you've been dating? Either they say, well, something like, well, either the cat goes or I do. Or your pet is jealous of your new partner, or vice versa, or the person that you are in love with, that you get married or you move in with, and they have a cat and you have a dog. How do you introduce them? I'm telling you, from what I've heard from my friends through the years, what I've experienced, and what I asked my friends on Facebook just last week, pets can be real deal breakers. So this week I've asked expert guests, and I called our licensed clinical psychologist, Dr. Jill Klingler, who is a sex therapist, and dog training coach, Lydia McCarthy of Playful Pooches and Parents. And they're joining me here in the studio to weigh in on the subject and later to take your calls. We'll also be talking with YWCA Protection from Abuse Director Teresa Singleton about the upcoming Bark Out Against Battering Pet Fest at Washington Park on Saturday, October 26th from 11 until 2. And I'd like to introduce now Dr. Klingler and also Lydia McCarthy. Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Thank you for getting
Just fine.
Thank you for getting up this early to come and visit with us. I've been asking. I was on Facebook this morning, instant messaging my friends and saying, "Get up, wake up!" You know, I don't. You know, and so I can't imagine how many church services are being interrupted this morning just to listen to the show, or people who usually don't wake up until noon on a Sunday morning. So. Tell me, Dr. Klingler, tell me, have you had this issue come up in your office about pets?
Yes, I have.
And in what way?
Well, in terms of the negotiation process that I think you have to make when you have a pet in your home, in my opinion, you've got to make the human relationships primary, and it's often hard to blend the relationships with the dog.
I can see that you have to be flexible.
Right.
So, what about this, Lydia? Have you had people come to you with this problem?
I have, and what I've noticed too is that if the dogs have some better behavior, it usually makes a better impression on new meets or new boyfriends and things like that, that if they have better behavior, they tend to like them better.
So how should you introduce them for the very first time? Say from the very first date, because I had a music director when I was in high school, and he used to say, well, here at Highlands High School, every date is potential marriage. So tell me, how should you introduce them? Let's hear from the doctor first.
Well, I think you want your pet to be on its best behavior, just like Lydia said.
So when the person comes to the door, or should you behave a certain way, or should you perhaps take them to a park and introduce them that way?
That might be a better way, because the pet might join with other dogs and perhaps give you more latitude to talk with each other.
And be more open to meeting a new person.
Perhaps.
Now, what about from the dog trainers' way?
I would say that the new person that comes in should bring the new dog lots of treats, and it should be kept positive, upbeat, and happy. And whatever the dog loves to do, that new person should be cued into that, so they can come in with a ball or a toy and interact with them. Now, it depends on the dog too, because if you have a dog that's a little iffy, you may have to go in a different route and just ignore him until the dog comes up to you. It really depends on the dog, but for most people, for most dogs, you want to do it positive with treats and toys and things like that.
Well, you know, my husband Tom, when we were dating and it was serious, he met my 3 dogs for the first time at brunch at my parents' house, and my dogs were absolutely crazy over marshmallows, and we kept a glass container of them on the hearth on the fireplace, and the dogs would beg for one. So every once in a while they would get to split a marshmallow. So I had told Tom about this, and of course brown-nosed Tom Newbold, Professor Newbold, comes to the house, and what does he have in his pocket? A little bag of marshmallows, and he handed them out.
Yeah.
He was golden. Well, I'll tell you, my mother just rolled her eyes because she knew that was it. And she had always said, well, you know, he's a grown man. He's a professor. I couldn't possibly tell him what to do. So, so if what do you do if one partner is a pet lover and the other isn't?
That's a very hard thing to negotiate.
So how would you go about that?
Through a lot of talking. I mean, some people will not allow a dog in between their relationship. And in that case, I guess it's between the dog and the person.
And you have to know. But isn't it possible that if you have a little, like a bugaboo, I mean, this is major, but if something like this comes up early in the relationship, isn't this a red flag of how you're going to be dealing with other issues?
I think it could be. That's a good thought. If you can't compromise in terms of pets, then how will you compromise on other issues?
Tell me about compromise. I mean, how do you do that? My husband and I, we've been married for 20 years, and it's still difficult to compromise about things.
Oh my, that's the $1 million question. There's no manual on how to compromise. You just have to sit and talk it through.
So what about from the dog trainer's point of view? How do you compromise?
Well, generally I see dog lovers with dog lovers. It's because it's a big area in their life. Usually dog lovers attract other dog lovers because I see that a lot. Usually if someone really hates dogs, they're usually not with people that really love dogs. That's just what I've seen in general.
I can see that, but what about dogs and cats? I mean, and then there are people who are crazy about ferrets. When my husband and I first started dating, I was a single girl with a condo, and I thought I was Helen Gurley Brown's stepsister, and I had I couldn't. My parents, after my divorce, had kept my dogs so that they would have a big yard, and they were being very kind to me so that I could be free and my dogs would have the attention that they needed. But I couldn't stand living without a warm, fuzzy creature. So I had a hamster who lived with me named Squeaker. And even a potential romantic partner once thought that I was married. And he said, well, I thought your husband was named Squeak. And I thought, well, as if I'd be married to somebody named Squeak. That sounds like somebody who has like a chews a toothpick all the time. but he, and I said, no. I said, absolutely not. I said, that's my hamster, and we just talk about him sort of like, how you fantasize and you have like these, like you make your animals talk and have their own lives. So I had a hamster. I mean, how do you do you introduce yourself? I mean, if you're maybe like a crazy cat lady and you have maybe 2 or 3 cats, I don't know. What if you're on the other side of that and you're not really a pet lover and you start dating someone who has pets? What would you need to know? What kind of mindset do pet lovers have?
Well,
come on, Dr. Klingler. You're a behavioralist, one of the best-known psychologists in the greater Cincinnati area, and a certified sex therapist. So come on.
I think ferrets might break the deal. But I gave my children 3 ferrets for Christmas once.
Yeah?
They went crazy. They loved them so much. I don't know if ferrets will fit an adult lifestyle, though.
Well, they are weasels.
Yes,
I mean, I've heard it.
I think you do better with rats. Rats are easily trainable. So if you get in a relationship and you have a rat on your shoulder, I think that you would, do very well.
Rats are very smart. See, that.
They're smart as about a 5-year-old child.
But when we're talking about ferrets, we're talking about weasels, and then we're talking about rats. We're talking about rodents. So I mean, are we talking about somebody's boyfriend? That the mother doesn't like?
Oh, well, you got me over my head.